Welcome back to RD Cloud Compute. In this video, I will cover how to create a bootable USB disk that can boot from multiple operating systems. You can use that single USB drive to boot multiple operating systems. So for this, you don't have to reformat your USB drive for each time when you change a different operating, want to boot from a different operating system. You don't have to reformat the USB drive again and again. So it's just a one software that allows you to just boot from any ISO file. You just have to copy the ISO file or a Vim, whatever the image file you have, a bootable image file, download from the vendor site and just copy it to the USB drive. You can boot from it automatically without extracting or creating a bootable device. So to do that, we have an open source tool called ventoy. So this allows you to create a bootable USB drive which supports most of the file formats like ISO, Vim, IMG, VHD, VHDX, any EFI files. So all you have to do is create a one-time ventoy USB bootable USB drive, and then copy the ISO or Vim, whatever the boot files, into a USB drive, and it allows you to modify boot ISO files anytime. Doesn't matter which operating system, Windows, Unix, anything, whatever you have, and it does supports multiple platforms as well. So it supports legacy BIOS, x64, UEFI, IS32 platforms, ARM664, so many more platforms, and it does supports almost all operating systems, and most of the ISO files are tested. It has a huge list of operating systems that are tested that works with this bootable ventoy bootable USB. So here is the complete list. It's almost everything, all the operating system internet is supported. So it's a complete open source tool, and you can download and use it free of cost. So start with, you can go to the download and download these softwares, whichever is compatible for you. If you're using Windows, download the zip file and extract, and and similarly Linux, extract file. If you want to use it on the VMware virtual machines, you can use the ISO file, and this ISO can be used to update your ventoy USB from older version to new version, and also it also works on the in the virtual machines. You can install on the hard drive, even in the machines. If you are very frequently, if you reformat your machines, you can have this ventoy install on one of the partition and copy all your ISOs into one partition, which allows you to just reboot and go to the ventoy boot menu and reinstall the operating system anytime. So you don't have to have a USB or ISO mounted or USB drive attached to a physical desktop or a laptop all the time. So download this file, and then let's begin the USB creation. Let me explain how to do this one. It's just so if you go to the document, there is plenty of documentation available, what is supported, how to edit the plugins. It has a plugin that allows you to customize the menu, boot logos, all kind of things. It's a whole lot of options available. So what it does is the ventoy, if you look at this one, it has an huge list of open source tools. It used Grub, 7-zip, all this kind of tools are combined, and it's created basically from all these tools. So ventoy, what it does is it creates two partitions, basic partitions on your USB drive. The first partition is a large partition which allows you to copy all your ISO or bootable whatever the image, Vim, VHDX files to it, and then the second partition is the actual bootable ventoy partition. So where it creates a 32 MB megabytes partition and copies the bootable ventoy bootable files into it. So you don't touch anything, you don't have to change anything on the partition 2. It always just a 30 megabytes, it keeps the ventoy bootables. And then this, if it depends on the second partition, it depends on your USB drive size. The remaining size of the USB disk will be created as a second partition. So where you can, it will allow you to copy all the partitions. So when the system boots and the ventoy boots from the partition 2 and then mounts, you searches for all the ISO file. When you select a specific image to boot, it copies the content to your memory and mounts it as a virtual disk, like a VMware virtual disk. It mounts the ISO as a virtual disk. So how downloaded the ventoy for Windows and extracted into a folder. So these are the contents of the ventoy application. So I have a USB 64 gig USB drive attached to the system. So let's launch the ventoy 2 disk exe. There. So it automatically detects all the USB drives attached to your system. So since I'm using a virtual machine, it shows the USB drive as a virtual VMware virtual storage. That's fine. That's 64 gig, and you have an option of booting if creating a USB with MBR or a GPT. If you have a large USB drive, it's recommended to use GPT. And if you go here, and you can change the MPT or GPT partition style, and if you want to enable secure boot support, you can do it from here. And if you want to keep a different partition style, like if you want to instead of a 2 partition, if you want to have an additional partitions, 3 or 4 partitions, you can have the additional partition. So this is the current version I have, and the device doesn't have any ventoy software or a package installed on it. If you have an existing package and if you're trying to upgrade, it will show you what is the version available here and what is the boot type it is using. So let's click install. Yes, all data will be lost and the disk will be formatted. That's fine. It's again double check. You still want to format it? Yes. So what it does is it creates a 2 partition now, and then it copies the bootable files. Congratulations, it's successfully created. Okay, see how you have these device has the ventoy 1 latest version installed, and it uses MBR. If you want to change this one, change it to GPT. So now the current package is for a GPT, but your current device has an MBR version installed. So you can change that one to GPT. Just install again. It changes it. Okay, let's try with secure boot. See, it enables the secure boot. Install. Yes. That's all. Let's close. If you go back to your system, let's go to device disk management, and it will be easy to explain. So if you look at here, it is a 64 gig drive, removable drive, USB drive. It is created at 2 partitions. So one small 32 meg fat partition at the end of the disk. It is partition 2, where it has all the bootable bootable images. And then the partition 1 is the remaining created with the remaining space. It's a empty drive where you can copy all your ISO files that will be bootable, created as. So let's go ahead and copy some of the bootable images into it. Yep, have copied a few ISO images to the ventoy partition. So let's reboot from the USB drive. Let's try. So if you have a secure boot enabled in your BIOS, and you how to add the key from the ventoy to your BIOS. So I'm gonna enroll the key from the disk. So ventoy EFI. So enroll this key. So there is a file called enroll this key in your mokmanager.cer. So I'll just add this key to the BIOS. Let's continue. Yes, enroll this key and reboot. Yeah. So we have 4 ISO files copied to the ventoy partition. So all this automatically discovered. You can boot from any of this. So like I have the ESXi image here. Let's select this one. So it's loading the ESXi. Okay, let's reboot, try something else. So this is the Windows 2019, sorry. Oops. Yeah, it's working. So it almost works with any ISO, any bootable operating systems from ISO, WMI, VHD, VHDX. So all you have to do is just create a ventoy USB and then copy the files, and then if you don't want anything, just delete the file. If you don't have a space, remove some of them or copy. Do a copy new ISO files. That's it. You don't have to reformat, change, format the USB every time. That's yes. Okay, let's cancel. Okay, let's try one more image. So this time I'm going to try the ventoy live CD ISO. Yes. Yep. Now we have booted from the ventoy ISO file, live ISO. So I'm just change the language to English. Yeah. See, ventoy. You can create another ventoy or update the existing USB drive from the live ISO disk. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. You can create any boot from any ISO. Thank you. Thanks for watching.